On the landing, Rafe swept Susan up in his arms. Somebody didn't get her morning tickle. Susan dissolved in a flurry of squeals and laughter, trying her best to get away from the tickle monster. The kitchen was still quiet, no sign of Cole or Valerie awake. He set Susan's wiggling body down. "What do you want for breakfast?"
"Pancakes."
Susan twirled around the kitchen.
"With chocolate chips."
Rafe had been told to make himself at home. During his stay, he planned to be indispensable to the couple expecting their first child. They had saved him hundreds of dollars on a hotel room. His merely adequate salary as a Dallas firefighter and paramedic didn't allow much for extras like vacations in coastal beach towns. Making his host's breakfast seemed like a good place to start paying back the favor. "Good idea. Even Cole and Valerie will appreciate my chocolate chip pancakes." He got busy looking through cabinets for a pan, flour, and ingredients. "Do you want to help?"
"Of course. I'm a great helper."
Zero lack of confidence in this one. Then again, she parroted nearly everything he said. He'd learned early on that kids came with no subterfuge or filter. For this reason, and many others, he watched what he said in her presence. "You are a great helper." Rafe cracked an egg into the bowl and handed her a spoon to stir.
"When I was a little girl, I didn't know how to do this. But now I'm old, so I know."
He smirked. "Yes, Susan. You're old now." She meant older, of course, but her 4-year-old conversational skills were still developing when it came to time. It wasn't quite linear to her.
"Mommy's old. And you're old."
Rafe might only be 33, but he sometimes felt 10 years older. Susan had utterly domesticated him, which he figured had everything to do with it. He was the weekend dad who filled his days with his daughter, taking her to parks and museums. Other than his work for the Dallas Fire Department and Susan, he had no life. He didn't date. Sadly, he'd become boring. But he hadn't planned on being a divorced single dad at his age. He'd had no plans to marry either. And when he'd pictured marriage, someday, it was only to the woman he'd loved for half his life. "But you blew that possibility to smithereens." Yeah, best not to think about Jordan del Toro. He'd see her soon enough, which would be as pleasant as a root canal without anesthesia, and hurt twice as much. Susan was still working on her first pancake, light eater that she was, while Rafe had already consumed 3. Valerie and Cole came down the staircase a few minutes later, visible from the kitchen due to the open floor plan and vaulted ceilings. "Good morning, you two," Valerie said, mussing Susan's hair. Cole fist-bumped with Rafe. "You didn't have to do all this." "My pleasure. As my daughter will tell you, I'm the pancake whisperer." "Chocolate chip pancakes?" Valerie said. "Ever since I got pregnant, I've been craving chocolate. I think I love you." "No, you don't." Cole hooked an arm around his bride. "You love me." "I was talking to the pancake, but I would love you even more if you'd cook me anything with chocolate." She gave him a quick kiss. Rafe would have given his left heart ventricle to have had this kind of a marriage. But contrary to some cultural and religious beliefs, love didn't necessarily grow because 2 people were committed to each other. It didn't take root and flourish because those 2 people were compatible and desperately wanted to make their family work. Rafe had learned the hard way that you couldn't help whom you loved. He and Liz had done their best to give Susan the home she deserved, but in the end, they'd failed miserably. He'd managed to be a good father, but he'd done a poor job as Liz's husband. "What are your plans today?" Rafe asked.